I've seen a million videos with the same idea in it, and it drives me crazy. It's so freeing and such, honestly, an underrated luxury. Practice positive self-talk and don't put yourself down ever. But with that being said, what's up guys, it's Kat. Welcome back to my channel. So back in January of 2020, I posted this video where I talked about, I believe it was 8 steps on getting your life together for 2020. Now, while I love that video and I do think I share some very insightful tips, I think we can all agree that the year has taken a turn that no one necessarily expected, right? We agree on that. Like, I love that meme that I've seen on Instagram that's like, oh, absolutely nobody in 2015 got the answer right to the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? The point of today's video is to give you 5 different tips and ways that you can regroup and get your life back on track for 2020. So if you started 2020 off with these incredible goals, you had all of these things you wanted to achieve and work towards, and they've kind of been just kind of flipped upside down or switched around a little bit, I want you to remember that it's literally never too late. You can always turn your life around and you can always make changes. As my sign here says, our quote of the day, one day or day one, you decide. And we all have that choice every single day to decide, this is gonna be the day I'm gonna make a change. This is the day that I'm going to start focusing on myself and doing things to better my life. So grab a notebook, grab a pen, and as we go through the different steps in this video, I want you to take notes on how you can implement them into your own life. And I will be sharing personal examples for me as well as other examples that may apply to you, just to give you some ideas. Stop rambling, Kat, let's get into it. The very first thing that I talked about in the previous how to organize your life video was that you need to have your priorities straight. I've talked about this in so many videos, but for this video, obviously, the first thing that you need to do is most likely regroup on those priorities. So for example, my personal top 5 priorities that I center my weeks and days around are my full-time job, YouTube, staying healthy and fit, keeping my finances on track, and making time for family and friends a priority. And I do go in more detail about why having priorities is so important and more examples about that in the previous video, so I'll have that linked in the description. But for the purpose of this video, what I want to get across is that you may need to regroup on your priorities. So say for example, 6 months ago, you were in school and you're not in school anymore because it's the summer, or you were working a job that you unfortunately don't have anymore, so maybe your priority now is finding a job. Or maybe you were on the swim team 6 months ago and now that's not happening anymore, so you have an extra bulk of time every single week that you can dedicate to something new. While my case is a little bit different and my priorities did not switch up, I do think it's very likely that at least 1 or 2 of your priorities will be different from what they were 6 months ago. Oh, Callie, you're so cute. I'll show you. I'll do a little video on my phone so you can see what I'm looking at. Step 2 is, if you take anything away from this video, take this away from it. I was watching a law of attraction video this morning, and while I love law of attraction videos, I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction. I've seen a million videos with the same idea in it, and it drives me crazy, talking about how if you want to manifest something, you just need to imagine that you already have it, say that you already have it, you put it out into the universe, and then you forget about it. You already told the universe that that's what you want, so the universe is gonna give it to you. While maybe 1% of the time that will work, 99% of the time it won't work, and you're gonna achieve your goals so much faster if you take action and put specific things into play that will get you closer to that goal. So maybe you really want a new car and you're like, I imagine myself driving this car, this is the car I want. Like, I put it out into the universe, and then you forget about it and you live your daily life the same way that you had been. And you know, maybe one day somebody will come up to you and be like, hey, here's this car for free. Here are the keys, you have it, it's all yours. But like, probably not gonna happen. So 3 action items for you could be create a savings account specifically for my car. And you know that every time you put money into that bank, into that savings account, you're getting closer and closer to your goal of being able to afford a car. The second action item could be get a second job or pick up more hours at work so that you're gonna reach that financial goal of being able to afford the car a lot sooner. And then a third action item could be dedicate 3 to 4 hours every single week to researching cars and figuring out what type of car is best for you, looking at different prices, maybe going to different dealerships, taking pictures, and really building up a portfolio for yourself of the type of car that you want. That way, when you do reach that savings goal and you can afford the car, you know exactly what you want to get. You have to take action if you want to achieve something. You cannot just pretend like it's already true and then expect it to just come to you. So what I want you to do is for each of those 4 to 5 priorities that you previously listed, I want you to write 3 to 5 action items of how you're going to attain that goal. Or, it may not be a goal if it's a priority. Like, for example, one of my priorities, of course, is my full-time job. Now, that has been really flipped upside down, where I was used to going into an office 5 days a week, and now I'm working from home every single day. So one of the action items that I put on my list is create a inviting and inspiring home office that I enjoy spending 9 hours a day in, because I spend so much time in here. This next one can be kind of a hard pill to swallow, but if you can start doing this, and maybe you're already doing it and that's awesome, but if you're not, I really want you to consider making some changes that will allow you to implement this tip into your life. The importance of living below your means is something that I don't think a lot of people really grasp, and I think once you do take this seriously and start to implement it into your own life, you are going to be amazed at how much freedom you get and how many doors open up to you, because all of a sudden you're not living under this financial burden of I can't afford rent, I can't afford my car payment, I can't afford, to pay my college loan because I took a vacation this month, so that's where that money went. While yes, I do agree that experience and relationships and love and feeling genuinely happy is what's really important in life, having financial freedom can really help with all of those things. I grew up in a house where money was always an issue. Like, I don't remember any year of my life where money was not something that my parents were either fighting about or stressed about, or, I've never really talked about this on my channel. Maybe this is something that I will if you're interested in, but at one point we were evicted from our house and we almost had to give our dogs up, and we didn't, but there were so many points in my life growing up where money made life so darn stressful. So by living below your means in different areas, you're allowing yourself to put more money into savings. And I am telling you, the comfort that you will feel from having a solid nest egg in the bank that you can go to if an emergency happens is irreplaceable, and it should not be negotiable. So whether that means looking for a new apartment because you really can't afford the one that you're living in now and it's preventing you from putting savings away every month, or whether it's buying the less expensive car even though the more expensive car is one you've wanted forever, or maybe that means not even buying a car yet and continuing to take the bus because hey, I could save up a lot more money that can be in an emergency fund in case of an emergency, and the bus is working out fine for me. Even if that means taking a break on your seasonal shopping spree, and this fall you don't go out and buy a whole bunch of new clothes, just different ways that you can take a step back, save the money, because just because you have the money in your bank account or in your hand as cash doesn't mean that you can afford something. If this time in the world has taught me anything, it's just a reminder that nothing is permanent. Like, everything's gonna change, nothing can be expected, and having savings to back you up is so important and so freeing, and such, honestly, an underrated luxury in my opinion, that people talk about getting a luxury handbag, a luxury car, the nicest apartment with the best countertops and all of that. And while yes, all that stuff is super awesome and fun, but the luxury of knowing that if you lost your job today, you wouldn't go under, you wouldn't have to go into debt because of it, because you have savings to back you up until you get a new job. I can't think of anything that I would want more when it comes to physical objects and that sort of a thing than having that financial freedom. And I'm gonna end this point on a quote that, oh, I love, and this just put everything into perspective. And I'm gonna read the quote so that I don't mess it up, but it's, "If you're not willing to downgrade for a year to live the life you love forever, you care too much what people think." But for this tip, I want you to go back to that piece of paper where you were writing stuff down, right? And we're gonna make 3 categories: morning, day, and night, and then write little time frames for yourself. So my morning is 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., my day is 9 p.m. to 8 p.m., and then my night is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the reason we are breaking it up into 3 sections is because under each of those sections, I want you to write 3 habits that you want to do every single day without fail in those categories. This is gonna give you consistency, it's gonna give you a feeling of accomplishment first thing in the morning, throughout the day, and right before you go to sleep. So for me, every single morning, I have 3 glasses of water before 8 a.m. I take Callie for our walk, whether that's a full mile or just stepping outside. We go outside every single morning, and I do something related to YouTube, whether that's filming a video, editing a video, planning a video. And then during my day routine from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. every single day, I will do some sort of a workout, whether that's, you know, an actual ab workout or weights workout, not in the gym anymore, of course, but or even if it's just a longer walk with Callie outside, because Tim and I make it a point to take her for a longer walk every single day on top of the morning. And then the 3 things that I make sure to do every single night are wash my face, put on lotion, that, you know, skincare, relax, give myself time to unwind, whether that's watching a show with Tim or reading a book, something to really unwind right before I go to sleep. But of course, all of those habits don't have to be yours. These are just my personal examples, and you need to figure out 3 things for each of your morning, day, and night that you could do every day that are gonna make you feel really good when you do them. Do you wanna sit here with mommy while I give this last point? Is she not the cutest little thing in the whole darn world? I love you. She always puts her little head like that when I hold her. She's like, "What are you saying? Are you talking about me? You want to go down to your little bed?" Every time I like lean her down to go down to her bed, she like pushes back at me. Yes, I love you. So this next thing you can do to really get your life back on track in 2020 and kind of just get it together and regroup is acknowledge what you need to improve on. I think it's so important to tell yourself what you love about yourself and tell yourself what you're great at and practice positive self-talk and don't put yourself down ever. But with that being said, I also think it's important to acknowledge that none of us are perfect. We all have things that we can work on. And by putting time and energy into improving things that you know you could do better at, you're only making yourself giving yourself a better life by really living up to your full potential. Now, I want to preface this by saying, super, super important, do not take this from other people. If somebody says to you, I think you're a little bit too loud and obnoxious. Well, if you have fun being loud and you enjoy being the center of attention and all that, that's freaking great. Do you. Don't let anybody else tell you, hey, you know, you're a little too much. But if you think to yourself, hey, when I'm in a group of people, sometimes I start like thinking in my head, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm being a little too loud. I don't feel like I'm really being receptive of what other people are saying, and I'm focusing more on my own thoughts versus listening to other people, then that's something that it's like, okay, well, maybe I want to work on that. I want to be better at listening. But if that's something you choose to work on, it needs to be 100% because you feel that way and not because somebody else is telling you that. So for this step, I really want you to get deep with yourself and think about what are things about myself that I feel I can improve on, that would make me feel more at peace every day, that I feel would get me closer to my goals. You know, maybe procrastinating is something that you really don't like about yourself, that you always procrastinate, and that's something you want to work on. Or maybe you feel like you're all talk, no action, as we talked about earlier, how important action is. These are just some different things that maybe they may click and spark in your head and you're like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I do have to work on that. If you watched until this part of the video, comment, I choose today. right? That little play on here. And then if you want to add on to that, what is your goal? What do you choose to start focusing on today? I would love to know something that you are going to work on starting today. For now, if you want to view any more of my getting your life together type videos, I will have the entire playlist linked down below. And I think that's about it. So I love you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in my next one.